Okay, I'll very soon introduce my guest for the morning. Let me just tell you this. Flight Center is the master for cheap airfares. And so as masters, the Flight Center makes sure that they always tell you they are Ghana's leading travel agent, offering cheap fares, both domestic and international. And for those of you who would want to undertake your honeymoons, you just got married, nice couple, you work in a bank, hospital, you've saved enough, please. The honeymoon packages to Dubai and elsewhere available. And so these are the packages. They have packages for holidays, cruises, ski holidays, last-minute holiday deals, as well as hotel deals and travel insurance policies for you. And so you get your flight ticket from Accra to London, Accra to Milan, and we know Milan, it's in Italy, Accra to Madrid, Spain, and all this just goes for $499 US. Accra to Dubai is just $562 US, and Accra to New York $955 US only. And please, after you've paid this, you are going to pay some taxes in addition, just only taxes. The honeymoon packages for the couple, you just got married, you want to go and celebrate everything, is $2,460 US only. And this is what you enjoy when you go on to that very trip. You go to a safari on the deserts, and you know, sometimes you watch those Arabic videos and pop videos, you tend to see the belly dancers and they're shaking, it goes up and down. You get to see them on the cruises as well. And also you have a dinner on the cruise marina with transfer, have city tour during the day of Dubai. You don't have to get worried. I've been there about twice or thrice. Enjoyable place. And even though there's heat, you get to get a lot more accommodation, air conditions as well. And you have your tour on the Burj Khalifa. That's the most enjoyable part of going to Dubai. And the reason why we're saying all this is because it comes with, well, your visa, your return flight, and 5 nights in a hotel, and all this tour. If you just want to make sure you contact the cheap airfare masters as a Flight Center, please make sure you keep your pens up and write to this. 0544-322-111 is the number, as well as 0544-322-114 is the number. Please, all terms and conditions apply. Please know, you want to enjoy, but the surprise to pay. Only prices. Okay, now my guest for the morning, Susan Edouard-Mankwa. It's been a while. She's been here. She's a pharmacist but works with Noguchi. But she's also the first vice chairperson of the CPP. Thanks for joining me, lovely Susie.
Thank you.
Great. She's a great Catholic too. Never wants to leave that faith. Not like me, I left. And another good friend of mine, Bright Demoji, is a member of parliament for Botiano English Amanfro. Thanks. I love your dress.
Thank you so much.
All right. And so we know that it's a subject of the medical doctors, and I'm just getting this from the news wires. That's indicating that the National Labour Commission has directed striking public sector doctors to call off their 3-week-old strike. And this is following a meeting with the doctors and government. And the doctors are already demanding that government codifies their conditions of service. We know about that. Even though there was a press conference that was convened, the indication from the medical doctors was that they don't care if they go the whole year without salaries. You are a paramedic too, so just tell me a lot about it.
Oh, well, I'm not surprised. I don't think that anybody is surprised. If somebody says they were surprised that they said they will end their strike today, you know, I'm sure the person doesn't live in this country. We've heard the utterances and etc., etc. So I'm not surprised that they said they are not going back. The National Labour Commission is supposed to be the impartial arbiter, sort of, to get both to sit down and this thing. I think that, yes, we should find common grounds. People's lives are at stake. And so there should be a common ground so that they talk about it, and lives are saved. So I cannot say exactly what will happen, you know. But I think that both of them know those who are actually sitting at the table, not those who are in the media and doing all of this. Those who are actually sitting at the table should, you know, shut their ears to everything and find the common ground, and, you know, and move. Yes, the government cannot negotiate under pressure, If you're going by the labor laws, yes, they're supposed to be there and negotiating and talking about it. They also say, we won't go back. But let's think about it. Where is the common ground? They should look at it, and say, we give, you give. And, because really, I mean, we can't go on like this forever. With this standoff, it can't go on forever. And Ghanaians are just beginning to get wary of the whole, for want of a better word, circus, and this is a costly one, you see. I would be happy if, it ended. I'm sure lots of Ghanaians would be happy if it ended, and more especially the public. How would I put it? The utterances in public, coming from both sides.
It's not helping matters.
It's not helping matters. Really, it's not helping matters. I mean, I don't think anybody devalues the position of the doctors. We know that, they are important to the health of the people. Okay, I think that everybody knows that they deserve to have good conditions of service. Everybody deserves to have good conditions of service. I mean, everybody has a contribution to this country, so we all deserve to have good conditions. But I would hope that they would not use human shields, and that is what they're doing, using human shields.
Right. Is it a position that the medical doctors have taken, and so gotten the realization, well, we feel we're essential, we also feel that our services will be needed daily, and because of the ratio there is of our personnel or our membership against the patient population or even the entire population, they're holding the state as well as government to ransom?
Yeah, thank you very much, and good morning to our cherished viewers. Just to say that, yes, if you watch the trend of essential service providers in this country, I think it was only recently that we actually legalized the condition of service of even Ghana Police Service. So it's a process which is going on. The Ghana Prison Service we are in the process of even working on the Ghana Prison Service and other essential services. So it's not as if the medical doctors were left alone with regard to how we should properly position or put up a good condition of service for those that we call essential services. That's the first point I want to make. Secondly, my position, which I stated in almost all the platforms that I have an opportunity, is that government shouldn't in the first place sit on a negotiation table with GMA. That's the first point I want to make, because as a student of law, it is clear that if you are going for a negotiation, you can't go to negotiate on a table with a duress. Because in the first place, they said that if you don't give me what I want,
I won't go and work.
No, I will resign in block. That's a very frustrating position from day one. And two, if GMA themselves are not very satisfied with whatever they are giving them, they can report to National Labour Commission. That's the act. And if government itself is not happy with the position that GMA has taken, they have to report that issue to the National Labour Commission. That is the way, with the path we set for ourselves. We said that we want rule of law. And the Labour Act is clearly spelled it out. And I have another problem with the National Labour Commission. Fortunately, they were able to manage this meeting yesterday. But I think it is long overdue. Because the parties, the two parties, and the deadlock. It is a Labour Commission. They have the right to call the two bodies.
You mean to intervene?
Yes.
Okay. I do understand your point, but for example, I've heard this many times, and I believe the last 3 weeks has been something that has been trumpeted by communicators from both sides, or those who have been making commentary in the public discourse or the public space on this very subject. Let's say we've had 2 or 3 prominent members who indeed are also involved in the negotiation process of the GMA come out to say, well, we studied this how many years and all that. And we have rebuttals also from the other side. You also have from the other side entrenched positions saying, if you don't go back to work because we feel we have to go according to the tenets of the labor law, we are not going to negotiate, even though we know that's well within the context of the law. And the other side also take the very position which we're witnessing. At the end of the day, there's no compromise, and Susan has reiterated the need for a middle ground to be sought in many respects.
I agree perfectly with Madam Susan with that position. I think I also take that position a lot of platform that where we have reached now, whatever issues that the doctors or GMA is clearly spelled out in the public domain, and we are all aware of it this time around. So, yes, the government position is that if you don't go back to work, some of the condition is that you may not be paid with your maybe in your last month's salary and all that. I am saying that yes, the two parties, from where I stand, the two parties have erred in one way or the other. So the issue of legality or illegality
doesn't come in. They just have to make sure they find a compromise.
Yes,
okay.
There should be a common ground. And what I'm saying is that, what is the common ground? The common ground for government is that, fine, you have not worked for this month, but you will be paid.
And so go back to work and let's negotiate.
Yes.
Okay.
Then the doctors to please go back. And I'm happy that the National Labour Commission is able to
bring the two together.
Bring the two together. And I'm just appealing to the doctors that they should comply with what the National Labour Commission is saying. The instruction is clear that they must go back to the negotiating table, and that is the bottom line. Even if we wait for even 1 year, they will have to go back to the table.
Well, we do understand. It's
yes.
Now, I often has always empathized with government, because if government agrees on the baseline of what is being used for the negotiation, we have the other paramedical groups who also are unionized, and they deserve their due. Actually, they follow duly, closely, the medical doctors. Then we have the other unionized groups in the other sectors as well. They may not get what, of course, because it's been categorized. How do we come to this very compromise that as people, we should realize that government cannot pay because we're in the state in which we are? And then also, as government, it has to take a position because it cannot pay no matter what it does.
I think that there are certain... I mean, I'm not familiar with everything in what was put out there. I saw some of them.
You've dismissed them. You've decided to dismiss them.
I mean, yeah. You would go with your wish list, knowing that not everything, So when you go, you want a slice of the cake, but you start off saying, I want the whole cake. And then we come and says, okay, I'll take half the cake. And you says, no, I'll give you a quarter. And then we go back and forth knowing that this is what you want. So it's okay that they went with their wish list. I wouldn't hope that they are sticking to that wish list. Give us this or nothing else, I would hope that that is not the stand, because, like you said, the government is looking at the bigger picture and is looking at sustainability, okay? I mean, this is not going to be cast in stone. Come next year, economic conditions change, they'll probably go on strike again. I mean, they've been going on strike forever, So it's not something that is going to be cast in stone. It's going to be for the... I mean, I hear them saying it's for posterity, whatever. But the conditions will change depending on the situation.
They'll come for some reviews.
It will definitely come for reviews, and so it's not supposed to be static. And so I hope that whatever it is that this deadlock is not because they're saying that, give us our wish list and that's all that we want, because we know for a fact that the wish list will not be sustainable. I mean, look, the pharmacists are waiting. Let's see what you give them. Then we will come, because in the single spine structure, it's relativities. So you cannot give somebody 100 gallons of petrol and give somebody 10 gallons of petrol.
It won't work.
It won't work.
When you know they closely work together, especially in the same sector.
And then we know that the health sector.
You do agree those are the indices or variables that government is looking at?
Well, that's what they ought to be looking at. They ought to look at what they can do and they can sustain. You understand?
I think you have been, even though you're a health worker, you've been very much realistic on what the real issues are, and that's good for us. Now, your last thing on
my last take on this thing is that, you see, I propose it that which company in this world that will pay salary to workers not based on revenue? I think we've not been realistic as Ghanaians. Because our salaries...
What do you mean by that?
You see, every year people goes in and demand salary increase and demand all sorts of things. But they don't look at the revenue.
Yes, but
so the point I'm trying to make is that I'm proposing that there should be a legislation that will state that the total amount of salary and the movement that we pay should be pegged to a revenue. So that when they are preparing budget, we should look at, because if you come to your father and say your father should give you a certain amount of money as your maybe housekeeping money or as your whatever money, and you know very clearly that your father is not earning that much, how is he going to give you the money? So I think that there should be a legislation that will peg the amount of salary that we pay to our public service workers against the revenue we collect every year. Otherwise, we'll continue these cycles. People just come, groups come and make demands without considering the amount of money that is coming into the kitty. I get worried. But which business will run like that?
Well, I mean, I agree with you. And I think that the government must also prioritize in such a way that we all agree that these are priorities, and the things are like that. So that people do not see certain, how would I put it, facets of our economy where there's prolific spending, okay? But if we're going to be prudent in all our financial things, we are prudent across board, But when it seems that there are certain things that are more of a priority, of course, then people come with all sorts of outlandish requests. You get it. So yes, you must cut your coat according to your cloth, not necessarily your size.
Right.
So that we must do, but we must also be seen to be, prudent across board. And when we are seen to be prudent across board, maybe some of these things will not happen.
If you say prudent, you mean equitable.
Thank
there should
you.
be equity.
There should be equity. But I also, there should be, but I also mean prudent in terms of,
being realistic.
Realistic, or not seen to be spending money on things that are not priority. Okay? Like I said, the next minute we see 48 new, four-wheel drives of the luxurious type are being used for rural electrification. Something like that. And people wonder, why are you doing that? You get me? But if you see utility vehicles, not the luxury type, basic, good, you are doing that, then people know that we're doing the right things. But it's not just coming from the politicians, A lot of it comes also from our public sector. Some of these decisions for prolific spending do not necessarily come from the politicians. They come from our public sector. So we need to look at the whole thing in a big context.
Okay.
But I always say, going forward, we don't want this kind of strikes, this thing. I think we have to find a way of managing our health sector, that if you want to go on strike, you're out of employment. you know.
Okay.
It should come to that way. If maybe it should come
Because
to
I know also in the
you
UK
know,
and the US, when you go on strike, the union will have to pay their members
the
within
union
the
will
period
have
of
to
the
pay,
strike,
yes,
after a certain minimum
period. And then we should obey the laws
Right.
in this country.
Okay.
I mean, nobody should be above the law. Both government, doctors, lawyers, you know, pharmacists, etc. If this is the law, let us be seen to be law-abiding and doing things according to the law. I mean, nobody should say, I have an upper hand. I have, you know, more strength, and so I would do as I please. I think that's not right.
Right. A press conference was convened. I don't know whether it was a forum or a press conference. It was highlighted by speeches from the flag bearer of the MPP and also the vice presidential candidates of the party. And thereafter, well, there were certain issues about the content of the voters' register and vis-a-vis names they had also found in neighbor Togo's register as well. That has raised issues. And subsequently, your party's general secretary also convened a press conference, claiming that, well, the accusations really were targeted at the people of the Volta region, and there were issues of tribal bigotry and things like that. What do you make in that first instance of the press conference, and following the reaction from your party especially?
Yes.
Many people even saying your party is overreacting.
Yes, that's their opinion. But I think that as a stakeholders of the political landscape of this country, it is important that we put things in that perspective. I'm saying that because, you see, we have laws for this country, and the political party that started this whole issue about the voters register were the very people who says that biometric is the best, and we should all go for biometric. And we sat down throughout just this process. Just last year, 2012, we organized this biometric. Which register in this world that will not have one or two problems? And I'm saying that if you look at all the points that were raised by Dr. Baumia and the NPP in their press conference, and putting up people's picture up there, today, if we decided that we are going for another biometric, those conditions they are talking about, the first person named that he named, something Japheth that he names, what is the point? Does he want to prove, can he prove to us that person will not register again? Can he prove to us that the name he mentioned will not register again? Because we have the law. What is a citizen of this country who qualifies to be a voter in this country? And clearly in the registration process, if you find something wrong, if you think somebody is not a citizen and is coming to register, they have a complaint form that you have to complain. The district committee meets and decide on for you to prove your case. There are procedures that are laid down in our OCI 78.
So you're saying they should follow the law?
So if you think that the man's name he mentioned is not a Ghanaian, what are you supposed to do?
You file a complaint form?
Yes.
Or you fill a complaint form, you file a complaint, and then it's expunged, you say?
No.
After investigation?
Yes.
Okay.
No, apart from that, you see, we have, if you look at the border, the eastern corridor of this country.
Actually, all borders. We have various
No,
borders.
I'm talking about the eastern corridor. From Aplao down to Garu, the last border there. There are so many towns. And that border cuts from northern region, Afro region, Upper East, and then down to Volta region. And this is saying that why the concentration on Volta region? Why the concentration? We should stop this kind of thing. That's the point NDC is making. That we should not be playing tribal politics in this country. If you say that you are doing investigation, why can't MPP sit down and complete their investigation and give the Electoral Commission a full details so that we know that 80% of Ghanaians are foreigners? So that we know.
You mean Ghanaian voters?
Ghanaian voters.
Okay.
This will come out. This will start.
So you're saying they should have taken their time completed the investigations, and it should have been thorough and countrywide.
Yes,
right.
And present it to the people of this country, so that they should stop doing this kind of things. Otherwise, this is not good for this country. It's not good, because they are tempering on the sentiment of people, emotions of people, and they should stop it.
I see. Your emotions have been touched.
Very. It's not good. The last time when I heard this,
your emotions have been inflamed.
No, I think that we should all calm down.
Right.
Both of you are playing politics. It's not just the MPP alone. The NDC.
But you have contested. You have contested. What do you make of the nuances of all this?
Yes, the voters register has problems. My view is that will a new one solve those problems? I don't think so. Given the conditions.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think so. I don't think a new one will solve, because one, those minors who went to register, they didn't go there on their own. There were probably political actors behind them who pushed them. Are those political actors going to stop? I can assure you, they didn't go there on their own. It was either the NDC or the MPP who pushed them there. Okay? Now, the double registration. No, we don't do that. That's a fact. One, we may have been doing that if we had the wherewithal to do it. We don't, so we don't do that. I'm not talking about in terms of morality. I'm saying that we don't have the money to do that kind of thing. I don't know what would happen if we had the money, but we don't. Now, the thing is that they both do that. Will they stop with a new register? I don't think so. Now, the double registration, that may be because we don't have a system where people have proper ID cards. If we had a national ID card, people may not find it necessary to go and register to get an ID card which they will use in the banks, etc., etc. So he registered today. He can't find the thing. He says, I can't find it. I need to go to the bank. He goes to register again. But that is one reason. But it could also be because there are political actors pushing them to go and double register. The issue about the Togolese, Ghana, look, I know people who are in Zimas. They have Ghanaian passports, they have Ivorian passports. When he sues them, they are Ivorians. When he sues them, they are Ghanaians. And I'm sure all along our borders, you will find that
in Africa,
if the sea had the same thing, we'll probably find guys who were citizens of the sea, or you find things like that both ways. People will always want to position themselves where it is most advantageous. So I'm not surprised that they will find Togolese people who pass off as Ghanaians. I mean, there are many people whose farms
could be passing off
as Togolese, because there are many people whose farms are in Ghana and they live in Togo, and vice versa. Those borders are artificial. You know, the colonial masters came. Who wants this?
Susan,
this is Ghana.
Do you think some of these things are manipulated by the politicians?
All data should be cleaned. All of us should make the effort to go and clean it, okay? Because the conditions that I'm saying will still happen, but we can clean it as we go, okay? Make sure that it's as clean as possible so that it is credible. We don't want to raise the tempo so high that we make the whole thing look so bad that it is unredeemable, and only a new one will do that. And come a new one, and then somebody else says, no, even the new one is fraught with problems, and then we do another one, and we do another one. I don't think it's going to help us much, and it's costly. What we have now, let us find ways and means of making it as clean as possible, so that everybody feels that this document may not necessarily be perfect, but it is a working document. It is something that we can use, and something that we will make progress and make better. And I think that we should move on. But I think that both parties should temper it down. You know, people, sensitivities are the same. If the NDC wants to take the higher moral ground, the thing is to say that we think it's unfair. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want to raise tempers on it. We won't talk about it again. Finish.
There's a question since yesterday evening I've been willing to ask, because I think there are two scenarios I want to paint. Okay, the one aspect is, realistically, the political parties, and the two main political parties, do you think in any way there's some level of manipulation when it comes to the registration process, in terms of if we have party agents, how come at the registration centers, how come that we have minors and these are not checked by the party agent, so to speak? And the other scenario I also want you to look at, we're being told that we have names that are in the 2012 register. And this register of the Togolese nationals was used in the last election. I believe that was last year or so. Or is it this year or last year, thereabout? It means it was compiled very recently. So which bunch of people are manipulating which register? Is it the opposition parties of the Togolese who should be crying rather foul, that Ghanaians rather or the other register, or rather it should be that a register that was rather compiled the first time is said to be having names of people who registered later in another country, so to speak, if the scenario is that?
Yeah, I'll take the second one first. As said by my sister.
She's called Susan.
Yes, sister. Yes. It is clear that the foundation for ensuring that going for a new register is not in place. The foundation is that, one, we should be clearly have a national identification. That anybody can talk and say that, yes, this is what, from the day of birth, you have that data. If we don't, and we leave it like this, what we are going to do is that every 4 years, we're going to spend money in gathering data every 4 years. And if you look at the amount of money that is involved in undergoing this exercise, it's a huge sum of money. Somebody have another dimension that I was discussing with a person, I think yesterday. He's saying that he thinks that there are businessmen behind all these things.
I think you guys are now muddying the argument further.
Yeah, that's his version. He thinks that, because the point is that if a electoral committee is going to do a whole register, it's a big business for certain people. And the only people
that they will get people registered.
No.
Okay.
The registration exercise. There are printers, there are suppliers, there are all kind of people who are involved in this whole.
I don't think it comes in this very argument, though.
Okay. Yeah. So what we are saying that you can discount it, but I'm saying that and everything, there are big business behind a lot of processes that we go through in this country.
Those are conspiracy theories.
Yes, that's the point I'm saying. But you see, critically, every political party have its own strategy. we must be sincere to ourselves. And one of the best strategies is to block the loopholes. Something that your opponent will take advantage of, you block them. That's how can we say that one of the critical things that end is that even if we don't have the money, is to ensure that whatever processes that electoral commission will go through, we have a rep at the various police stations to ensure that things go on successfully, even if we don't have the money. Because in our electoral system and the system that we have now, the only way we can sustain the system is to do effective monitoring. Effective monitoring. So I won't be here and say that, because for instance, if within constituencies where we have clear demarcations, because somebody wants to win you, when there's a registration exercise, they move people from one particular locations to another.
I've seen that severally.
Yes.
In my years as a
knowing clearly that you don't reside in that constituency. People will go and
I know of a certain town that has usually voters in excess of 100,000. So
yes,
at least 20,000 go to vote elsewhere.
Yes.
In a neighboring constituency. Yeah.
Yes. So that's the bottom line. So I can't say that what you are saying is not true, because it's clearly even in the parliamentary.
Yeah, because the winner will win by a margin of, let's say, 40,000, 50,000. You don't need that.
No, the winner will win by 3 votes in the parliamentary.
No, I mean where they have a glut. The winner will win by 30,000, 40,000. So the next time you only shift the thing to where maybe the winner was having a margin of 1,000 or something.
You see?
So they both do that. So
yes.
So you both indeed acknowledge. That's why you're fighting each other over this.
No, that's what I'm trying to say.
It's okay. You've said what you have to say. Now, Susan, I just comment on this as we wrap up. Yesterday, there was this issue about, well, there was over-concentration of the Volta region and things like that. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter that it wasn't holistic. Doesn't matter that Well,
no, but
so,
I mean,
I remember back in the day, I used to take exercise books to write figures when they were mentioning them on radio and things like that, but from 1993. I mean, sometimes you hear some of the mind-blowing figures from some of the strongholds. There were Volta region, Ashanti region. You said, what? How many people live there? I mean, we should be realistic.
Well, I mean, that's why I said both sides are playing politics with it. I mean, and so for me, it's not strange. They are politicians, and that's what they would do. So we all know that the border, the Eastern Corridor, Upper East, nothing and Volta. But hey, you want to do the politics, you concentrate on the Volta, knowing that the other ones are there. It's not that you are not acknowledging it. You are saying that, this one is not good. If the roles had been reversed, okay, and maybe the Ashanti region or the Eastern region had been the one that was bordering, we would have heard the same thing from maybe the NDC. So this one.
So it was a big deal.
So it's. I think people should take all of it with a pinch of salt.
All right, and that'll be it for our discussions this morning. We wanted to touch on the Johnson Combian, the man who was alleged to have murdered 2 policemen at Nankpanduri in the northern region, has been sentenced to death by hanging by an Accra Fast Track Court, and this was after a 7-member jury unanimously found Combian a convicted jailbreaker and notorious armed robber guilty of conspiracy to commit crime and murder of the 2 police officers who have been mentioned thereafter. And we have the subject of the death sentence and or the death penalty, an issue especially for advocates across the world. Amnesty International is always leading this very subject, especially when we hear all the announcements in the US or Malaysia about death sentences and things like that. We have the Executive Director for Amnesty International Ghana, Lawrence Amesu, on the line. A very good morning to you. But I want to ask you, if somebody kills somebody, you just deserve also to be killed. Is that not it? I mean, realistically.
Definitely not. This is because we all agree that life is a fundamental human right. And we do not want to be associated with deliberate killing of somebody.
By who?
If we all agree that life is a fundamental human right, and somebody has killed, and we are all worried, why would we deliberately want to kill ourselves? We should not, no government, no state, nobody should deliberately want to kill anybody under any circumstances. And with regard to Combian's case, it's important for us to know that for Amnesty International and indeed all human rights activists, there is no place for them.
Well, we seem to have lost Mr. Lawrence Amesu, but that'll be it for now. Next, we'll have a lot more entertainment, and it is also brought to you by Airtel. By my guest this morning having Susan Edwamankwa, and thanks for joining me. He is the first vice chairperson of the CPP.
You should come back to the Catholic Church.
I will.
I've heard of re-evangelization. We are going to work on you.
Wow. Deliverance. Now you guys have started delivering. And then
We're
also,
already delivering.
right, Demoji is a member of parliament for Botiano.